So now it should be full screen. All right, thank you everyone. So I'm Shannon Shivers. I'm the Director of Education for Oregon Women in Higher Education. And this is our 2019 webinar series. Ashley Nilson is going to be presenting today on Sorry Not Sorry, using language to maintain authority. And then I just want to give you some heads up on upcoming OE education opportunities. So we have always have an open acceptance for webinar submissions. So if you have a submission that you're considering, something you would like to share with the OE community, I encourage you to go ahead and propose one of those, and I'm happy to work with you to develop that and give you any support if it's your first time doing a webinar. We also are always interested in having new and different writers writing for the OE blog. There's also a submission form on the OE website for that as well. And then our OE book club has a discussion next week, next week on the 26th. Tuesday, and it's going to be discussing the book When the Moon Was Ours by Anna Marie McLemore. If you haven't read it, we still encourage you to come. It was a really cool book. It's a queer fairy tale, so it's kind of a fun twist. And then just a reminder, if you haven't registered for the upcoming conference, go ahead and do that. That will be the end of January, beginning of February, the weekend between the 2 months. And so register for that will be in Salishan on the coast. All right, and so with that, I'm gonna let Ashley go ahead and take it away.
Hi everyone, I am going to transfer to my own screen. Give me just a moment. Okay. There we go. Hey everyone, welcome to Sorry Not Sorry. Can you all see my screen okay? Yes.
Looks good on my end.
Perfect, thank you. Okay. Just one point of note on here. If you have a separate browser window or if you have your phone with you, it'd be handy if you went ahead and went to menti.com and used the code 747685. That will follow along with this entire slideshow, and there are some points where we have some audience interaction, and so I just want to give you that opportunity to interact when it's time to. Okay, I guess let's go ahead and get started. We are going to be jumping straight back again to the other screen because I love to have this little introduction video. It's from BuzzFeed, When You Apologize Too Much. Can you take that away?
The louder it's going to quack. But my real concern is, can we get the duck out?
All right, I just realized I was muted. Sorry about that. Let me go ahead and pull that up again for you. Full screen. Are you seeing the YouTube video, everyone? Mm-hmm. Perfect. All right. And I'll start that at the beginning.
The larger the bill, the louder it's going to quack. But my real concern is, can we get the duck to act like a dog? You know what I mean? Oh, sorry. Can I get some more water, please? Thank you.
Why are you apologizing for wanting more water?
I don't know. I feel guilty for inconveniencing her.
Well, she's a waitress. That's literally her job, to get you more water.
No, but I feel bad, and so I say sorry to lessen the blow.
You do this all the time, you know.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. Right? Oh, sorry. Sorry this is taking so long. Sorry, I have to pee. Sorry it's so hot in here. Sorry it's so cold in here. Sorry it looks so crazy today. Sorry, I love this song. So good. Sorry. You know what? You're right. I do that, and I need to stop.
It's okay because now you're aware, and you can stop doing it.
Exactly. I'm so... I almost said it.
No, Ashley, now's the time where you say sorry.
I don't think Beyonce would say sorry in this situation, which is why I'm not going to say it.
I'm dripping wet.
Do you think Oprah would say sorry in this situation?
Thank you for that. So, just a little bit of humor to start it off with. Back in here. So what we're looking at when we're thinking about the idea of not saying sorry anymore or overusing the word sorry, what we're really looking at is the concept between apologetic versus authoritative language. And so what we want to know is, what is the difference between these two kinds of language? This is an excerpt from Bonnie Marcus, who wrote for Forbes. The title of the article is, "Do You Sabotage Yourself by Using Weak Language?" I would just like to say that I may not know as much of some of the communications experts out there, but I feel that women undermine their credibility time and time again by using minimizing language. I love this excerpt because it's purposefully meant to demonstrate what minimizing language is while trying to convince people to use more authoritative language. To really get that, though, we have to look at what is the difference between these two language types. So when we're looking at apologetic language, we're looking at language that really minimizes your voice. It's saying things like sorry reflexively, kind of like what we just saw in the video. It's qualifying your words by using just. I just thought. I'm just thinking here. Weakening your words by giving that I think, I feel, I believe, instead of saying it is. I think it should be this way instead of it is this way or it should be this way. And it's hinting at what you mean. It's giving people ideas towards what you want without actually saying what you want. On the flip side, we have authoritative language, which is what affirms your voice. It's not apologizing for simply existing, which is, again, what we saw in that video, that idea of somebody running into you and you saying sorry to them, or apologizing because your coffee's taking too long to come out of the machine when you have zero control over that. It's choosing to be confident, to represent yourself well. It's owning your words by saying, I'm confident, I'm convinced, I expect. And it's just saying what you mean. It's outright being forthright with your words and your language. So in here, and this is your first thing where you're going to be using the Menti interface, we've got the idea of setting a deadline. You've got two different versions. One would be apologetic language. Do you think this could be done by Monday? And the flip side, we have authoritative language. This has to be done by Monday. And so which option are you more likely to use when setting a deadline for somebody? Are you more likely to use the apologetic or the authoritative? I'll give you a few moments to fill that in. Can't remember how many people we have in here, so I'm going to switch over in just a moment to show the winner.
We've got about 20 people right now.
Perfect, thank you. Let's pop on down. Maybe. Apologetic won. Yay! Okay, moving on. And you might need to update your app if it still has you on the previous screen. What do you like or dislike about the authoritative option? So this has to be done by Monday. What do you dislike about it? What do you like about it? And this is again in the Menti app. There we go. I like that it's clear. I don't like that it sounds controlling. Afraid it'll be perceived as harsh. It's not personalized, less flexible, not in the position of authority. Don't know what other commitments people have. Might not take into account other schedules. Seems pushy. I don't have authority in my job, so there's a lot of lack of authority I'm getting in here. Seems very firm, unwavering, doesn't open up to dialogue. Yeah, okay. I like that it leaves less room for going over a deadline. Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna scooch through. Okay, so same deal as before. So here we've got the idea of sharing an idea. An apologetic version would be, I'm just thinking out loud here. An authoritative would be, I have an idea. Which one are you more likely to use? I'm gonna go ahead and pop in to show the winner. Authoritative. I like that one. I have an idea rather than I'm just thinking out loud here. So why did you choose that option? The apologetic is I'm just thinking out loud. Authoritative is I have an idea. Okay. I don't speak up much in meetings, but when I do, I want to be heard. It's honest and straightforward. I have an idea still acknowledges it's my idea, so it doesn't feel overly authoritative. Apologetic, sometimes the idea I have is to improve something my boss is doing, so I don't want to be too strong because it might seem like a critique. Suggesting an idea, it's flexible. It's not saying we have to use it. I'm confident in my ideas, and I'm not usually upset if they're not the chosen idea. It sounds like this is a group brainstorm type setting. Yeah. Where ideals are welcomed, not interrupting someone's workflow. I usually say I want to float this out there. It's an idea, but counts for the fact that I might not be the expert. Being encouraged to share our thoughts in your organization, that is something to be grateful for. Commands more attention. Okay. Perfect. I'm gonna scooch to the next one. We have a couple of these that I'd just like to go through to help us brainstorm this whole process. So when you need an update, and this one's specifically an email example, the apologetic one that I use is very extreme. Hi, smiley emoji. Can I see the presentation when it's ready? Smiley emoji. Thanks, smiley emoji. Versus authoritative. Send me the presentation when it's ready. You'll notice the apologetic version where I did go over the top with it. We have a lot of emojis in it. We have a lot of exclamation points. So which one would you prefer to use though? Let's go ahead and authoritative. That's my favorite one too. Although admittedly, I do use a lot of emojis in my regular work text. So with that, my question for you is, do you use emojis when sending work emails? And how do you think they impact your voice? Because even if you don't use them yourself, I know you would have seen somebody who uses them themselves. Nope. I don't use them, but I do when instant messaging. Pretty common. Rarely. I feel they come off as unprofessional. Only to people who've already sent me an emoji. Chicken before the egg or the egg before the chicken on that one? I do, but generally only when talking about light non-work subjects. To team peers, yes, but no in authority figures, rarely. Rarely and only when I have a personal relationship with them. Only the smileys to be approachable. Limit them, and I'm cognizant that few men seem to use them. Use them with people I'm more familiar with. Too informal for email, but okay in texting or IMing. Not often, try and limit, and please, because I read an article a while ago that says women feel the need to do this. I like when my students send them. And we'll try and respond with an emoji if they do. Okay. So let's imagine then if you're in a meeting or in a discussion and say something, somebody else immediately or shortly afterwards comes back with the same thing that you have said. Most people have experienced this at some point. Apologetic version. Thank you for clarifying that. Or not even saying anything at all. Authoritative. Yes, that's what I just said. Which one do you feel more comfortable using? Apologetic. In all honesty, that's usually the one that I lean towards as well, because it can be very uncomfortable for me to call out in a meeting that somebody just restated what I just said, even if they didn't actually restate it and they just said exactly what I just said. So what do you do? Whether you use the apologetic or the authoritative version of it or some other thing, if that happens in a meeting, what is your knee-jerk reaction? How do you generally respond? Ask the person next to me, isn't that what I just said? Mm-hmm. I usually don't say anything. Yes, that's where I was trying to go. I usually just say I agree and was trying to convey the same thought in my remarks. It depends on the tone. Tone has a lot to do with these things. I'm not sure this has happened to me often enough to know. Depends on the composition of the meeting. If it's my team, I would point it out. Okay. Depends on how important the idea might be and what it's going to be used for. Say, I agree, and mention that earlier. Also, if it happens to appear in a meeting, I try and say, she just mentioned that. Yes, as I was saying. Nice. So what about when you hear an inappropriate comment from somebody? This might be something that they say about you, about somebody else. It might just be inappropriate in general. The general apologetic one would be either an awkward laugh or silence. Authoritative would be something like, that's not appropriate and I don't appreciate it. Which one are you more likely to use? Okay. It's a tie. Okay, that's interesting. Let's see here. So for those of you who chose the apologetic version, or for those of you who didn't, why would you choose that one over the authoritative version? Like, what would cause that to be your decision? Safety risks. That's a pretty common one. Authority figures, supervisor, conflict avoidance, not having the energy to get into it. Usually calling something out encourages further discussion and conversation and conflict. Don't know how to address the comment, taken off guard. Takes me a while to process when something like that happens. In a group setting, I might wait until right afterward if I need to fear the authority figure. Choose authoritative because I feel like I'm at the point in my career where I can take risks. Generally in a group setting and need to bring it up one-on-one. Group setting, wait until afterwards. Yeah. Okay. Choose authoritative. Rules in HR, best practice to call it out, but do it in private. Have been shut down previously when done. Okay. I'll scooch through. So what about when you're pointing out a mistake? So this would be, you might be in a meeting and somebody's presenting something, or you might just be working with somebody one-on-one and you see an error in something that they had created. Here my example for apologetic focuses and authoritative focuses on numbers, because numbers are more quantitative and not qualitative. So it's much easier to see a mistake in that. So apologetic shows, I'm sorry, are we sure about these numbers? I'm not a math person, but authoritative, these numbers are wrong. Okay. Let's go ahead and see what we're getting. Apologetic. That kind of apologizing for it. I'm sorry, are these numbers correct? I'm not a math person. What have you said? What kind of language have you used in this situation? It doesn't have to be numbers, obviously. Could you clarify? I use could you clarify a fair amount, or some alternative of it. Could you explain why this was selected, for example? Can we double check this together? Shouldn't that be, I would want to be kind in pointing it out because I don't want the presenter to be embarrassed. Let's double check this. I'm not sure what happened here, but let's take another quick look. Those numbers are different from the numbers from, I'm confused. Can you help me understand? Those numbers seem off to me. How'd you come up with that amount? Trying to gently point out sources with the correct info. I thought this was, can we double check? I'm confused. Can you help me understand? Cool. Got one more coming in. Okay. So we've gone over a couple of examples of apologetic and authoritative language. And these are in some cases extreme examples. You wouldn't necessarily use one option versus the other. The email version was quite extreme in my head, but I wanted to really exemplify it for you. So what does apologetic language sound like to you though, personally? What kind of language do you use? Is it simply saying sorry a lot? Is it excusing things? What phrases do you hear with this kind of speech? And keep these ones a little bit shorter. Sorry, I just. I apologize. Maybe. Not sure. But can I ask a question? My bad. It feels like. Could be. Okay. Possibly. Please more than once, like saying the word please frequently. What if we, do you mind? Just a quick reminder. Okay. But not sure, I'm sorry, just, possibly. Those ones are pretty frequent. So when we're looking at this, when we're thinking about trying to transition our language from more apologetic to more authoritative, it's not about forcing yourself to not say sorry. Sorry still serves a very real purpose in our lives. there's a reason why we say it. Going back to that BuzzFeed video, Ashley had spilled her drink on somebody else. She is apologizing for an action that she took that directly impacted somebody else and wanted to call that out. So it's not about not saying sorry. And one big thing here is what works for one person is not going to work for everybody. I'm becoming more and more direct in my language every day. That doesn't mean that everybody needs to become more direct in their language. This means finding your comfort level, what works for you, what feels right to you, and what you want to be doing. And it might be a very small thing. It might be larger. This is for you to decide, not for me or for anybody else to decide. It's about owning your own language choice. So I want you to just sit back for a moment and think to yourself. Think about a time that you used apologetic language and regretted it. It might be in a meeting. It might be talking with a friend, a coworker, a peer, a boss, a subordinate. And I want you to think about, why did you regret it and how did it make you feel? This one's just a personal reflection. And I'll give you about 30 seconds or so to think on that one. Okay. Anyone willing to share? Just what happened and maybe how did it make you feel? I remember the most recent time I used apologetic language and regretted it was yesterday. We were trying to figure out change in our system, and it had nothing to do with me, but I was the one who just processed all the requests. And my boss, ended up asking me if somebody else could come in because their request hadn't been processed. And I ended up apologizing for it, even though their request hadn't been processed because they had never submitted the request itself. So that was a little bit of a level change there. I generally regret not speaking up. Just generally, if I use it, it makes me feel and appear as if I lack confidence. That's a big one. You want to feel confident about yourself because that makes us feel good, and you want to appear confident to others. I know me personally, with regretting not speaking up, one thing that I always think about is the fact that our memories are tied more to emotion than to anything else. And so when we regret something, when we feel bad about something, it comes up in our memories frequently. And so I remember things that have happened 10 years ago that I regret having happened because I didn't speak up, or I wish I had spoken up. And there's nothing I can do about it now, but I can just remember it and think about it and choose how to change my future so that that doesn't happen again. I wasn't clear or strict when communicating deadlines, and in turn, those deadlines weren't met, which then creates a direct impact on somebody.
We also have one in the chat. I often apologize for showing any kind of emotion.
Apologizing for showing emotion, because remember, humans are robots, ergo we never show emotion, or we are never supposed to show emotion. And I feel like that is starting to change within our society slowly, but it's still really challenging, especially for people who identify as female, because when we are showing any emotion, oftentimes it gets pushed back on as we are emotional, which is very different. I usually use it when I feel I have inconvenienced someone. I need to remember that my existence is not an inconvenience, because it's not. We exist because we are human, and we are here for our own lives. Okay, yes, and last one. I've noticed that when I apologize, it can make other people feel bad, which isn't my intention. It's that direct feedback where you're apologizing for something to someone else, and so then they're feeling bad for having made you feel like you needed to apologize, even if that wasn't their intention. Okay. What about authoritative language? What does that sound like to you? What phrases or words do you hear with this kind of speech? We're doing this. I expect, I want. I need. Firm deadlines. This needs to be done by Monday. Expect, need, no, you must. Want. I like that both need and want are in here because they're two very different things, but they're both important in authoritative language. Clear expectations. Thank you. Thank you's a good one. Okay. I'm gonna scooch through. So I want you to think back again on that time that you used authoritative language and regretted it. How could you rewrite the interaction to use more authoritative language? So I want you to think about what you said, what other people said to you, and think about those terms that were just in that word cloud that we looked at. Need, expect, clear expectations, want, so on and so forth. Is there a way that you could incorporate those into this interaction? I'll give you about 20 seconds or so to think on this. Okay. How would that change it for you? How would incorporating those kinds of words, need, must, expect, setting clear expectations, setting firm deadlines, how would that change the interaction for you? And think too on this. Remember when people were saying how it made them feel when they were using those apologetic options? They were feeling generally bad. It doesn't feel good when you accidentally use apologetic language. It would give more empowered, increased confidence, increased credibility. Confidence equals trust. That's a big one. People want to be able to trust you, and you want to be able to trust other people. And if you are demonstrating confidence, then it's easier for somebody to trust and believe that you know what you're saying and what you're doing. Adding clarity. Feel more fear because it's putting myself into a more vulnerable position. That's true. It's not always a safe space or a good place to be extremely direct or very direct even. Sometimes it does put you into a position where you kind of have to back off a little bit, where you might not be capable of doing this due to authority, environment, the people around you, so on and so forth. Okay. I took 5 last time. I'll take 5 this time. Okay. Can we pop into the Barbie vlog, please?
Yes, I will share that over.
Thank you.
Hi. So my friends and my sisters have been asking me to do a vlog on sorry because I have some ideas about sorry. I mean, first of all, I think a lot of people say it when they don't actually mean it, but I think there's a bigger issue around sorry, especially with girls. We say it a lot, you know, like a lot. Like it's a reflex and that somehow everything that goes wrong is our fault. Somebody bumps into us and we say, sorry. You go to a restaurant and the food they serve you is cold and you say, sorry, but could you heat this up for me? We get excited and exuberant about something we're really excited about and then we instantly say sorry. Like we're afraid of being too big. Or even if we're sad, we say sorry because we're worried about making someone else sad. I think we're worried about offending people, and we shouldn't be. I mean, it's really important to be kind and thoughtful and polite and to offer a sincere apology if we have done something wrong. But sorry is a learned reflex, and every time we do it, we take away from our self-confidence. So, I challenged my friends and sisters to go an entire day without saying sorry. It was hard. I don't think they realized how often they actually say it. So now we're on the next step of the challenge. If you feel sad, instead of saying sorry, you say, thank you for understanding my feelings. When the restaurant serves you cold food, you say, thank you for heating up my food. When someone bumps into us, we say, oh, that's all right, and give them a smile. There's so much more power in saying thank you instead of sorry. It really changes the dynamic in a way that you can feel when you do it. So I challenge you to start watching how many times you say sorry and then turn it around. Thank you for watching my vlog. Pace. 4 million subscribers? What an incredible...
I am a huge fan of that particular vlog episode. I don't know how many of you know that Barbie has a vlog, but I used to watch it all the time with my daughter. It's an incredibly feminist vlog. She has one makeup episode in it during which she teaches you how to become a deer, which is always entertaining to me. But outside of that, we see things like this. And especially for those of you who were thinking or writing that it would put you into a vulnerable place or being more direct or more authoritative would make you feel uncomfortable. I like the thank you option instead, because think about if somebody is running late and they're running up to you as they get there and they're just repeating the word, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, over and over again, that doesn't make you feel good as the person who is waiting. Generally, that just makes you feel bad. But if you say thank you for waiting for me or thank you for your patience, then that will generally give somebody, it makes the other person feel good about themselves. And that's really what we're looking for. And that's something that you can easily do without feeling uncomfortable, without feeling like you're being put into a vulnerable place, because you're still empathizing and showing care for the other person. You're just not minimizing yourself. And the trick with when you say sorry a lot is it puts the emphasis on you. It puts the onus on you that you are the focus. Whereas when you thank somebody else, you're putting the focus on them and what a good person they are. So thinking about that, what is one way that you can increase the authoritative language in your daily interactions? What would you feel comfortable with personally? You can think back on the examples that people had provided previously. You can think about the Barbie sample. You could think about something else that hasn't even been touched on yet. What could you personally do? I know me, I have been working on saying thank you more frequently. So for example, when I email, sometimes I'm really bad about responding to my emails. And so rather than apologizing for taking so long to respond, what I like to do is to say thank you for your patience. We've got expressing more gratitude. I say sorry way too much. I'm going to try the Barbie challenge. Reread my emails before sending them and reword to be more straightforward. We'll actually touch on that in just a moment. Starting with one interaction at a time, working to be intentional with my language and say what I mean. Be more aware and more thoughtful of the tone I use in email. A lot of this really is awareness. When you become aware of a word or a phrase or a term that you use a lot, the first point is noticing it. Once you notice it, at that point you can change it. You can't immediately change everything that you do, but you can be aware of how frequently you use sorry. And then once you become aware of how frequently you use it, you can start integrating other language. Remembering that my language is a reflection of myself. That's important. This is how we represent ourselves to the world, be it email, text, in person, through a webinar. This is how we're representing ourselves. And so you want to reflect yourself in a way that's accurate and in a way that you want to be reflected. So for me, what I'd like you to do is take the Barbie challenge. Try and not say sorry for the rest of the day. You can either try and use more authoritative language that was shared. You can just say thank you instead, figure out how to integrate that. And this is where I was saying we were going to touch on the email thing. If all else fails, use the Not Sorry Gmail plugin. I have a bit.ly for you. It's bit.ly/notsorrygmail, or you can just search for the Not Sorry Gmail plugin. What it does is when you have it activated, it's in your Chrome browser, it will underline every single apologetic phrase that you use in your email. So whenever you use sorry, apologize, just, think, believe, things like that, not so that you always remove them, but just so that you can be aware and visually see that you're using them. And then you can question yourself to see, is there something else I could do instead? Is there an alternative? That's it for me. If anybody has any questions or comments, you are welcome to put them in the chat or to use the Menti interface as well if you enjoyed that. But on my end, I'm done.
And thank you so much, Ashley. So yeah, we can wait a little while for folks if they have any questions or comments to add. I just pulled up the bit.ly link with the plug. It looks like a really neat plugin. I'm impressed that it goes beyond just sorry and really underlines anything that might be more apologetic. It's pretty cool.
I've been using that one for about a year now, and it's been incredibly helpful. I never realized how frequently I used the word just in my emails, and pretty much every sentence would have just been as effective without that added word.
Yeah, and for me, I don't say sorry very often, but I do use a lot of the other apologetic language, so it'll help catch that for me.
Exactly. Okay.
A lot of other appreciation for the plugin on the Zoom chat and enjoying being able to interact, and a lot of appreciation for the Menti platform and being able to interact that way.
I quite thoroughly enjoyed the Menti platform. Today was the very first time I've ever used it. It allows for a fair amount of interaction. However, I will give you the caveat that this is the professional version. I got a 14-day free trial on it. It's not incredibly expensive, but if you aren't going to be using it on a regular basis, the free version would probably be the most beneficial to you.
We also have a comment that some of us who use Outlook for our work email, we can always put it into Gmail using the plugin and then copy and paste over to our Outlook. Good idea.
Exactly. Luckily, I work in an institution that is all Google interface, so I'm able to use Gmail, but a lot of institutions do still use Outlook, and so that's a nice workaround.
Well, it's not looking like we have any questions. So I'm okay if we wrap up a little early. Everyone can take a little bit more time to rest up before your next activity or whatever you're working on at 1. And again, thank you very much, Ashley. And I believe will you be able to send me a copy of this so I can share out the presentation with folks through email?
Yes, I can. And thank you all for joining.
And look out for an email from me for next week. It'll have a YouTube link to this. So if you ever want to rewatch some of it or pass it on to a friend, you'll be able to do that. And then I'll also be sending out a survey so that you can, again, share some of what you appreciated or would want to see differently in webinars in the future, and for Ashley to consider going forward. So again, thank you all and have a great week.
Thank you.